Hi, and welcome to the Week 8 edition of the Daily Record's High School Football Insider. I'm sports writer Mike Plant alongside sports editor Aaron Dorksen. And Aaron, in your Sunday column in last week's Daily Record, you really hit the nail on the head when you called last Friday Freaky Friday.
Well, thanks, Mike. Not too many times in the history of our football picks have we ever had a losing record on the high school games. Usually there's a bunch of gimmies right off the bat. We got 5 right and 6 wrong as a panel. 3 of the ones that stood out to me that I'll mention, I was at the Northwestern Hillsdale game. The Huskies won that 28-17. That might have been only a minor upset. People thought it could probably go both ways. Hillsdale had been better in recent years, but give credit to the Huskies, and Tyler Smith, the running back, led the way. 2 really surprising scores in the Principals Athletic Conference. Indian Valley upset Triway 33-32, and then even bigger surprise, Tuslaw defeated Manchester 28-21. So that'll still be a battle for first place when the Titans go over to Manchester, but both will be coming off losses.
Yeah, and in other games that were kind of surprising, that hallelujah chorus you hear from Doylestown came from the Chippewa Chips, ending their 29-game losing streak, getting head coach Kevin Wolf his first career victory at Chippewa, as freshman Brady Breitenstein accounted for 5 touchdowns in the game, which was a win over the Wayndale Golden Bears, who were still searching for their first win. Down in Millersburg, we were all wrong across the board, 9-0, picking West Holmes over Mansfield Senior, as the Tigers came into Millersburg and dominated the fourth quarter, Aaron, and pulled away from the Knights for 40-29 victory and took over sole possession of first place in the Ohio Cardinal Conference. And closer to home here, the Worcester Generals confounded us yet again. We keep thinking Worcester's going to solve their problems, Aaron, but they reared their heads again last week in the loss to Lexington. We all had the Generals winning that one. Their defense has been allowing over 400 yards a game, and they've been averaging 4 turnovers in OCC play as the Generals dropped a 44-28 decision to the Minutemen.
Well, that's a quick look at last week. We're going to come back with a new segment. We're going to have a Friday night forecast. Our news copy editor, Emily Bartelheim, did not know that she was also the Daily Record weather gal when she came to work today, but she was nice enough to do some research, and we'll come back with Emily's report after this.
Hi, this is Daily Record copy editor Emily Bartelheim with your Friday night football forecast. It will be seasonably warm to start the day, but wind up cold in Creston, especially cold in Rittman, and dry in Doylestown. For the big Triway game in Manchester, we really don't know because we only Googled the weather for Wayne County. But seriously, bundle up because the temperatures will drop into the 30s in what should be a clear, dry night. Enjoy the games and let's take a break.
Welcome back to the Daily Record's High School Football Insider. We're heading up on Week 8. The weather's turning cold. The leaves are falling all over the place. And we have some games Friday night, Aaron, with not only league implications, but also playoff possibilities.
I mean, that's right. When you talk about Triway going over to Manchester, the whole ball of wax in that one, Mike. I really think the league title is going to be decided and the playoffs are going to be decided. The winner's going to get both. And I think the loser probably will be shut out, just missing at the end of the season. This should be a really good matchup. Manchester's a fun environment. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the whole region, statistic-wise, and really the way they throw the ball and the way they execute will be matching up in this. Triway's Parker Carmichael, his top 2,000 yards passing, 23 touchdown passes. Over at Manchester, they have a senior, Nick Payakov. He's thrown for over 1,600 yards. 15 touchdowns. He's a 6'3", good college recruit. Both teams have been playing pretty well, but they are trying to rebound off a loss. And then also in the pack, Tuslaw's big upset over Manchester kind of has them back in the playoff picture a little bit. They're number 10 in their region. The quarterback, Cody Brewer, threw their version almost of a Hail Mary, getting it through 2 Manchester defenders to win the game. threw it to Dion Perez, and then DJ Blair had a big interception to give Tuslaw one of its biggest wins in years.
In the Wayne County Athletic League, Aaron, the game of the week is Smithville traveling up to Creston to play Norwayne. We remember that last year, Smithville pulled off the big upset and handed Norwayne what turned out to be their only blemish in a 14-1 state championship season and a 19-14 game in the mud over at Smithville. This year the game's over at Norwayne. Smithville will be coming in, they're only 3-4, Aaron, but last week they had 3 different 100-yard rushers. So they have a pretty good running game and a good group of skill athletes. This will be my first look at Norwayne because we've talked before on the show that their schedule has been this kind of backloaded with games with Hillsdale and Northwestern after this Friday. They've outscored their WCAL opponents by an average of 62-7 so far this season. So that is always a big rivalry game, and I know the Bobcats will be looking for a little bit of payback in that one. Elsewhere in the Wayne County Athletic League, Northwestern coming off their big win over Hillsdale will be traveling to Waynedale to take on the 0-7 Golden Bears. Hillsdale will be making that long trip to Rittman for the Falcons. They'll try to rebound from last week, and they shouldn't have much difficulty there. And then in a game that looks like a pretty even matchup, Dalton will be traveling over to Doylestown to take on the Chips. And both of these teams, Chippewa, of course, like we talked earlier, coming off of their first win. And so they've got a taste of that. They're going to want another win. And I think Dalton probably looks at this as a winnable game too, Aaron.
That's a good recap of what's going on in the Wayne County Athletic League, Mike. In the Ohio Cardinal Conference, West Holmes is going to try to bounce back from its first loss of the season, a real heartbreaker against Mansfield Senior. The Knights 6-1 will go over to Lexington, that's 5-2 overall. Lexington's playing better than some people thought they would at the beginning of the season. Lane Perrone continues to really run well for the Knights. He's over 1,000 yards for the season. Mansfield Madison, another OCC team that's having a strong year at 6-1, is going to go to Orville that's just 1-6. The Riders have lost 6 straight games. I talked to Coach Doug DeVault this week. He said just because the wins aren't racking up the way that they have in past years, it doesn't mean they're working any harder. The kids are still showing good attitudes, and they're trying to build any kind of momentum they can to finish strong and have something going in their favor heading into the Worcester game in Week 10. Joel Zook was a bright spot in last week's loss to Ashland. He had 17 tackles. Also, Worcester is going to go over to Mansfield Senior. The Tigers took over first in the league by beating the Knights. And, boy, there's going to be a lot of athletes on the field over there on the turf at Arlen Field.
Yeah, they might need to restock some light bulbs for the scoreboard in that one, Aaron. What's interesting, take a quick look at the playoff race. I know you love to crunch those kind of numbers. If the season ended today, we would have 5 area teams in the postseason, Doc.
Actually, I just crunched some before we went on air. 6.
6, wow.
So West Holmes, we mentioned, having a great season. They're second in Division 3, Region 11. The real crowded, fun region to watch is Region 13 in Division 4. Going into this week, Norwayne's 3rd, Northwestern 6th, Triway 8th. Right on the bubble, still with good chances to get in, Tuslaw and Manchester. I wrote in my Sunday column, Norwayne, who knows, they might play Northwestern 2 weeks in a row, maybe even on the same field, and we could possibly have an area matchup with Triway involved. So interesting to see. And then Division 5, Region 19, Loudonville's 5th, and Hillsdale's number 6.
Yeah, we don't talk too much about the Loudonville Redbirds. Just to wrap things up, Loudonville will be going to East Knox. East Knox pulled out a miracle victory on the last play of the game last week against Fredericktown. Put the Bulldogs right in the middle of that crowded Division 5 Region 19 that includes the Falcons and the Redbirds. They'll meet tomorrow night at East Knox, with the winner getting some big points for the playoffs. And that'll wrap up this week's show. We'd like to thank Emily for being a good sport and adding a little bit of class to the show. Reminder just to read about all of this Friday's games in Saturday's Daily Record, and we hope you join us again next week on the Daily Record's High School Football Insider. Thanks for watching.